Donald Trump's first 100 days in office have been a whirlwind. He's signed executive orders. He's held chaotic press conferences. He's defied court orders and even made at least one car ad.
Everything's computer.
I'm calling it now. The word of the year will be unprecedented.
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 Unprecedented. Unprecedented.
But in this video, I don't want to focus on the random stuff. I want to focus on patterns. A specific pattern that comes with a label that has been following Donald Trump for decades. Racist.
Are you a racist?
I don't know, but for years, people have been calling Donald Trump one. From a New York City housing discrimination lawsuit in the 70s to rumors of frequent N-word use on the set of The Apprentice, he's given his critics plenty to debate over. But whether or not Trump is a bigot on a personal level is irrelevant to me. I'm not here to psychoanalyze him. I don't care what's in his heart or what's on his mind. What I care about is what's on the record. Policy, action, power. So in this video, I want to look at exactly that, the documented, captured, explicit, and implicit acts of bigotry during Trump's first 100 days. The independent media organization Contraband Camp did an incredible job of putting together a list of some of the questionable, if not outright racist actions taken by this administration since they took office on January 20, 2025. I was inspired to make this video because of their report, so you can find a link to it down in the description. But in order to effectively track the Trump administration's bigoted actions, they also put together a simple three-part methodology. First, their report focuses on the impact of his policies. That is, the effects that they will have on specific communities. Second, they chronicled the policies that were designed to reverse protections against discrimination, what they're calling reverse racism. And third, they used the Merriam-Webster definitions of the words discrimination and racism as a grounding for how they defined what was and wasn't racist from this administration. I think their report is spot on. So without further ado, this is Trump's first 100 days, racism edition. Let's dig in. Today's video is sponsored by Ground News. More on that later. Day number 1. Just hours after Trump's inauguration, Elon Musk performs what looks like a Nazi salute behind the official seal of the President of the United States of America. 6 million Jewish people were exterminated at the command of people who did this exact same salute. And yet the ADL makes an excuse for Musk. That same day, Trump signs a host of executive orders, like Executive Order 14151, which terminates all DEI-related programs in the federal government, or Executive Order 14160, which seeks to end birthright citizenship for people born in America. He also signs Executive Order 14164, which calls the death penalty an essential tool. On that exact same day, he rescinds a ton of orders, like Executive Order 13985, titled Advancing Racial Equity and Support for Underserved Communities. He rescinds Executive Order 14031, titled Advancing Equity, Justice, and Opportunity for Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders. He also rescinds Executive Order 14069, which promotes pay equity and transparency. Day 2, January 21st, 2025. Trump continues his attack on DEI, calling diversity, equity, and inclusion illegal discrimination without evidence. I made an entire video about this topic, so consider watching that one next. Day 3. Trump's Department of Justice halts all investigations into police misconduct and freezes all pending civil rights cases. It's important to note that almost every time the DOJ has investigated police departments across the country, they found rampant, verifiable examples of racist practices that almost always impact Black people specifically. And to freeze all pending civil rights cases means that they believe that there is either no discrimination in this country, or they simply do not care to bring justice for those who have been discriminated against. Day 7, Trump signs Executive Order 14185, titled Restoring America's Fighting Force. It ends DEI in the U.S. military and announces plans to target people who promote what the Trump administration calls gender ideology. Day 11, Trump blames an airline collision in D.C. on DEI, blaming Barack Obama and insinuating that mentally disabled people were somehow responsible as well. On the same day, Trump signs Executive Order 14190, titled Ending Radical Indoctrination in K-12 Schooling, which threatens to strip funding from K-12 schools that teach quote, radical ideology. According to Contraband Camp, the curators of this list, the policy is cut and pasted from suspected white nationalist Christopher Rufo's definition of critical race theory. Under this rule, teaching about slavery, civil rights, and Jim Crow could be deemed illegal. Day 18. Trump signs an executive order to eradicate anti-Christian bias. It's pulled straight from Project 2025, and while it isn't explicitly about race, it narrowly defines Christianity within anti-trans and ostensibly anti-liberation terms. Day 19, February 7th, 2025. Though clearly not an official act of the Trump administration, his rhetoric and policies are already having an effect on his supporters. A group of white terrorists show up in Lincoln Heights, Ohio to intimidate a historically black community. But black people don't really play that, so they took the flags of the white nationalists, they burned them, and they drove those cowards into hiding. In fact, black parents in this community have been exercising their Second Amendment rights and patrolling their streets with their guns to protect their kids ever since. Day 22. February 10th, 2025. Trump's Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, makes good on Trump's promise to restore the names of bigots back to U.S. military bases. Fort Liberty's name is changed back to Fort Bragg, originally named after a Confederate traitor and enslaver, General Braxton Bragg. But the insane thing is that instead of standing on business, standing on their decision, they do this cowardly sidestep thing and found a random white man with the last name Bragg to maintain their plausible deniability. So to say that they aren't honoring the Confederacy, but we know what you are. We see what you're doing. Day 32. First, Trump purges the military of woke leadership. He fires 3 people that day: a black man, CQ Brown, and 2 white women. And he replaces all of them with lesser qualified white men. Next, Trump officially stops tracking police misconduct, ordering a national database be shut down. The history, policy, and practice of policing in America mean that police are more likely to brutalize, profile, and kill non-white Americans. We know this because of, you guessed it, tracking databases like the one he shut down. Day 40. Trump signs Executive Order 14224, designating English as the official language of the federal government, which is fine. I don't, sure. But he goes a step further, not just designating English as the official language. He also rescinds previous guidance to provide access to services for persons with limited English proficiency. This is racist and stupid and downright mean to someone's grandma who speaks English as her second language. Day 45. Trump signs Executive Order 14230, the first of several executive orders targeting law firms that were hired by his political enemies. What he's doing is illegal, but he justifies it by saying that the DEI policies at these firms are illegal. It's important to note that black people make up about 5% of all lawyers in America. 5. White people, on the other hand, make up about 81% of all lawyers in America. But again, he cites a diversity fellowship at one particular law firm as the reason he is targeting them. And just a few weeks later, he would do the same thing to universities, stripping Harvard University of billions of dollars in federal funding for research and scholarships. Which makes this the perfect time to talk about today's sponsor, Ground News. Ground News is a website and app that gathers related news articles from more than 50,000 sources around the world, all in one place so you can compare how different outlets cover the same story. Every story comes with a visual breakdown of the political bias, factuality, and ownership, all backed by ratings from 3 independent news monitoring organizations. And if you go to ground.news/garrison or use the link in the video description or scan the QR code on the screen, you'll get 40% off of their Vantage plan. So much of the political polarization in our time has everything to do with how and where we are getting our news. 2 people could find themselves looking at the same event and coming to 2 totally different conclusions simply because they got their news from 2 totally different sources. Take, for example, the fact that the Trump administration froze $2.2 billion in grants to Harvard after the university refused to comply with its laundry list of demands. This story has been covered by more than 400 sources, with left-leaning outlets covering this just a bit more than right-leaning sources. You can also see the factuality and ownership information. For this story, 9% of the reporting outlets are independently owned. I enjoy using this site to compare headlines headlines across outlets to see how they're framing these stories. On the right, most of the headlines frame the story as simply as possible. Trump freezes billions for elite Harvard University. Meanwhile, on the center and left, some of the headlines are a little bit more descriptive, like this one from the Journal that says Harvard University hit with $2.2 billion funding freeze after rejecting Trump's demand. There is, of course, the blind spot feed, which covers stories underreported by one side of the political spectrum, whereas this particular story was almost impossible to miss. I think Ground News is awesome because they aren't trying to change your opinion about the news. They're simply trying to give you more information about where you may be getting your news and help you see where you may have blind spots. Again, go to ground.news/garrison or use the link in the video description or the QR code on the screen to subscribe today. If you sign up through my link, you'll get 40% off of the Vantage plan, which is what I use to get unlimited access to all of their features. I think Ground News is doing something important here in this time, and I hope you'll check them out. Thank you to Ground News for sponsoring this video. Okay, back to the video. Day 47, Mahmoud Khalil is arrested. Federal immigration authorities arrest a Palestinian activist who led some of Columbia University's student protests against the U.S.'s involvement in Israel's war with Hamas. Of note, Khalil has not been charged with a crime and was arrested for exercising his First Amendment rights. He is a political prisoner by definition, currently detained in a facility in Louisiana. Day 51 through 54, immigration officials arrest and deport Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Just like Mahmoud Khalil, Abrego Garcia has not been convicted in a court of law, has not been charged with a crime, and has been denied due process based on the Trump administration's unsubstantiated claims that he is a member of a gang. To make matters worse, the Trump administration admitted that they made an administrative error in deporting Abrego Garcia, but then completely flipped their stance, deciding instead to defy multiple court orders to bring him back to the United States of America. Day 52, March 13th, 2025. Trump uses the term Palestinian as a slur or insult against Senator Chuck Schumer. In the same interview, he calls Senator Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas.
Pocahontas was very happy. She's the one that was slapped. That's why I looked at her and said, oh, it's Pocahontas.
A term that is seen as a slur for Native Americans. Day 53, March 14th, 2025. Trump guts the Minority Business Development Agency. Now, as some of you know, I spent a ton of time with Black Republicans last year, and several of them told me that they were excited for Trump because of his business mind, that he'd promised through the Platinum Plan to invest in minority-owned businesses specifically for Black people. Given Trump's attack on diversity and race-conscious policies, that seems unlikely now. Day 57. The Department of Defense continues a purge of Black history, getting rid of the bio for Jackie Robinson, among others. The erasure of Black history has been a central issue for Trump and his allies, and Contraband Camp reports that no white people were deleted in this DOD purge. Day 63. The Atlantic reveals that Pete Hegseth accidentally added their editor-in-chief to their War Plans Signal group chat. This wasn't racist. It was just one of the dumbest mistakes in American history, and we should never forget that it happened. Day 66. Speaking of history, Trump signs Executive Order 14253, titled Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History. Among other things, the order seems to suggest that the official position of the Trump administration is that race is a biological reality, which is definitional racism. It is old school eugenics era racism and insane to me. For the record, race is a social construct, and the way we understand each other as racialized beings is a relatively new phenomenon in world history. Day 70. The Pentagon bans DEI books. They purged 381 books from the Naval Academy Library, and a significant number of these books are from Black authors, including Ibram Kendi, Emmanuel Acho, and Kimberly Jones. Day 84. Trump tells the president of El Salvador that he wants to deport, quote, homegrown U.S. citizens to foreign prisons. Given the ways that the U.S. legal system is stacked against non-white people, the outcomes of this illegal plan would no doubt have devastating impacts on Black and Hispanic communities specifically. Day 88. Donald Trump posts a photoshopped image of Kilmar Abrego Garcia's knuckle tattoos, claiming that it was proof that he is a member of the MS-13 gang. Not only does the image appear to be doctored, none of the 4 symbols on his knuckles in the photo, which were a marijuana symbol, a smiley face, a cross, and a skull, none of these symbols appear in any law enforcement database referencing the MS-13 gang. Perhaps more importantly, again, Abrego Garcia has been denied access to due process in a court of law. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that the Trump administration claimed that they mistakenly deported this man because of an administrative error, and then just days later started this public smear campaign, and now they're like doubling and tripling down on it. What's abundantly clear to me is that they believe that this man, his reputation, his rights, and his freedom are all disposable tokens in their political game. And I think they believe they can get away with this because he and all the other people that they've disappeared are non-white and therefore expendable. Day 94, and this is important. Trump signs an executive order to eliminate the federal use of disparate impact across various areas of civil rights enforcement, instead pushing for color blindness. By the way, let me know down in the comments if I should make a specific video about this executive order and its relationship with color blindness more broadly. It feels like we probably need to have more conversations about the logical fallacy in all of this color blindness stuff. This executive order completely undermines the government's ability to identify and rectify potential unequal impacts on communities. Disparate impact is especially useful for its ability to help uncover unintended consequences of seemingly neutral policies. Said simply, Trump removed the government's ability to even know which communities are harmed by the things that he's doing. If you were operating in good faith and you wanted what's best for everyone, wouldn't you want to know about the unintended, unintentional, harmful impacts of the things that you were doing? Well, now one of the tools used to determine exactly that is gone. At the time of this recording, there are still a few days left in Trump's first 100 days. I don't know or care if Donald Trump is a racist, but I think his actions have proven that he is completely okay with utilizing racism to stir up his base, to seize power, and to make a clear distinction between who is in and who is out. Okay, I think I'm going to call it there. I'd love to know what you all think down in the comments. Please like and subscribe. Thank you again to the publication Contraband Camp for putting together this phenomenal resource. Contraband Camp was founded by one of my personal heroes, the award-winning journalist Michael Harriot. I've placed a link to their website down in the description where you can sign up for more from them. I cannot say enough about the importance of their work. This racism tracker post was free, but I am a paid subscriber because I really believe in what they are doing. Last but not least, please consider subscribing to my Substack newsletter. I'm writing a lot more over there. I'm making announcements there first. I'm going live with my friends. It's a very fun time. I'm also planning to publish my annotated scripts and share the stuff that didn't make it into videos over there, all for the real nerds. So if you're a certified geek 7 days a week, my Substack is for you. A link to my Substack is down in the video description. I don't know if there's anything else. I don't think so. Subscribe, like this video, comment. As always, I'm grateful that you are here, my friends. Until next time, peace.